To a lot of South Africans, it's like the second coming, almost, because we really did believe that he died.
Sixto Rodriguez was one of the most famous musicians in South Africa.
He's in a league of his own. I mean, even the guy who produced his first album said, Bob Dylan, yeah, a few steps behind this guy. He was magic.
He was bigger than Elvis and more beloved than the Rolling Stones.
In South Africa, he was in the pantheon of rock gods.
To us, it was one of the most famous records of all time.
Yet, he had no idea. Nobody knew anything about Rodriguez. He remained a complete mystery.
We had all these theories about what had happened to him. We had heard the stories that he had died.
Rumours spread that he had committed suicide, with the details of his death becoming the stuff of folklore.
He reached down and pulled up a gun and pulled the trigger.
But then came Searching for Sugar Man, a documentary that follows two devoted South African fans on a quest to uncover the truth behind their musical hero's fate. What they discovered was even more astonishing.
Well, I'm only in the film about 8 minutes, so I think I did okay.
Rodriguez was in fact alive and well, living quietly in Detroit, completely unaware of his overseas stardom.
It was quite a weird experience meeting Rodriguez, not least because he's supposed to be dead.
Born and raised in Detroit, Rodriguez was discovered by music producers who were convinced they had found the next Bob Dylan.
The only writer that I had heard of that time period was maybe Bob Dylan, that was writing that well.
When we walked in and heard the songs he was singing and what he was writing, we had to record him. We had to make a deal for life. He's great.
Despite the critical acclaim his records received, they failed to sell, and Rodriguez struggled to launch his music career.
I was too disappointed to be disappointed, so to speak.
After being dropped by his record label, the folk rock musician left the industry behind.
And in South Africa, this guy was gigantic.
Meanwhile, unbeknownst to him, his music had become a sensation on the other side of the world.
That at the very same time, he's more famous than Elvis Presley in another part of the world.
In South Africa and Australia, his records saw significant sales and heavy radio play.
However it germinated here, once it got here, it spread very quickly.
His fans there assumed that he was just as famous in the US.
Nobody in America had even heard of him. How can that be? How can that be?
But in reality, after his music career fizzled, he lived a quiet, unassuming life, making a living through manual labor to support his 3 daughters.
Meanwhile, the guy was in America doing construction work. He was like a laborer.
Still, he never stopped playing his music. The search for Sugar Man led to an extraordinary homecoming, bringing Rodriguez back to South Africa to perform in the late 90s.
We were more expecting a smaller venue and hoping that there would be enough people there to fill up the room, and it wasn't the case. It was definitely, we were overwhelmed by what we saw when we got there.
Thanks for keeping me alive.
The release of the documentary sparked a renaissance in his career.
He's on stage and the crowd is just going wild.
It has been an honor, pleasure, and a privilege.
He began touring and recording again, with his 2 early albums, Cold Fact and Coming From Reality, finally achieving the global success they had always deserved, 4 decades after their original release.
I don't think I will ever find a story as fantastic as this one, because I don't think there are any.
Sixto Rodriguez passed away on August the 8th, 2023, at the age of 81.